Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight.
Thieves breaking into a local church, leaving its members shaken.
The education minister laments power outages just days ahead of the opening of school.
Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Welcome to Our News and thanks for joining us. I'm Kyle Joaquin. Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis has labeled daily blackouts throughout New Providence an emergency situation that government will do all it can to fix. After touring Bahamas Power and Light's Clifton Pier power plant over the weekend, Minnis told reporters today he has a better understanding of the company's power generation crisis.
Whatever BPL needs, BPL will get, because the problems that we face today must and will be corrected.
That was the Prime Minister's response when asked if the government would be willing and able to provide more funding to BPL in the midst of what he called a crisis. BPL Chairman Dr. Donovan Moxey on Friday said the suggestion of simply bringing in more rental generation has been thrown about continually, but explained that because of the company's continued cash flow problem, BPL simply could not pay for more than 25 megawatts of rental power to be brought in.
What we're experiencing today is an emergency situation as far as I'm concerned. And yes, the government has a budget, but this is an emergency and the government would have to use all its resources and talent and move monies around. But this must be fixed, and this will be fixed.
After a tour of BPL's Clifton Pier power plant on Sunday, the Prime Minister called the situation a crisis, noting the suffering residents and businesses endure on a daily basis with hours-long power outages. And while speaking with the media Monday afternoon, Minnis went further, explaining why he disagrees with those who say it isn't.
Individuals who may be diabetics who are keeping their medication in the fridge and they're off for a certain length of time, that's a crisis for them. Individuals who feel that it's compromising their kids in terms of reading, studying, preparing for school, that's a crisis for them. And therefore, from that aspect, when you look at the human elements, yes, they are experiencing a crisis. And those are situations that we must remedy as quickly as possible.
Works Minister Desmond Bannister and BPL's chairman have both insisted BPL is not experiencing a crisis. BPL has been suffering from a 40 megawatt shortfall in power because of aging engines that have been failing basically all summer. The company has since brought in a 6-man team from the U.S. to fix one of its engines that recently went down. After seeing those engines for himself and hearing the plan of BPL's team, Minnis said he is comfortable with the steps being taken. He used this analogy.
Can you imagine in the nerve center or the operational center, they're still using floppy disk. We are now in the technological era. Those are things that needs to be corrected, and those are things that they are correcting.
The Prime Minister has been criticized for his silence on the matter up until last week when he released a statement. Today, he explained his reasons for not speaking.
You know, and I know, you speak when you get the facts. You analyze, you accumulate, you get all the necessary data. When you have those facts and you're comfortable with the facts, then you'd speak out. You do not speak prematurely, because when you do that, then you have to retract. So and you would be the first one all over me. Minnis retracted. Bye-bye. Have a good day.
Well, officials at St. Cecilia's Catholic Church believe that thieves took advantage of an hours-long power outage in the Coconut Grove area last night to ransack the place of worship and steal a sacred part of it. They showed up at church this morning to find windows smashed and the tabernacle gone. Georgia Bain reports.
This is the window that thieves smashed to gain access to the St. Cecilia's Catholic Church here in Coconut Grove, ransacking the church, leaving papers all over the building. Now, what they did that was most troubling was removing something sacred from the church that has now left members to believe that God has been removed from their midst.
It seems as if we seem to have no respect for God's house.
Standing on the outside of his church, Father Simeon Roberts stood clutching a stack of hymns close to his heart, visibly shaken as he recounted the feeling of discovering that thieves had broken into the Catholic church situated on 3rd Street, Coconut Grove. Shattered glass littered the floor next to the church's altar, along with envelopes that were ripped open and papers scattered all over the floor. On the right-hand side of the altar, the spot where the sacred tabernacle once was is now empty after thieves made off with it.
Jesus' body, the tabernacle, has been removed from the church, and the church has been, I guess, deduced to just like a four wall. It doesn't mean anything to us anymore because Jesus' presence is no longer there. His body, rather, is not there.
The culprits also smashed the bottom glass out of the sanctuary door and ransacked the sacristy, leaving vestments on the floor, digging through cabinets, and even ripping photos from the wall. Donation boxes that were mounted on the walls of the back entrance were ripped off the wall, and all the money was removed.
I couldn't even celebrate Mass this morning. So we just had a word service, praying for the persons. I don't know who would have done it, because so that he or she may have a change of heart and come to understand that what they have done is a terrible thing. But following the way of the Lord, we must always find it in our hearts to forgive such person because we know that they could not have been brought up right. And they could not have been maybe even, I don't know, this person could not have been properly catechized because you wouldn't do something like this to God's house.
Robert said the culprits had ample time to commit the crime as power was off for about 4 hours at the church last night.
The power was off. The power goes off, and here was pitch dark, and so they probably had the opportunity to have a field day on us here last night.
Anyone with information that could lead to the arrest of those responsible is asked to contact police. Reporting for Our News, I'm Georgia Bain.
Meanwhile, Education Minister Jeffrey Lloyd is warning that if the frequent power outages persist when school opens in less than 2 weeks, school officials may have a problem on their hands. Jillian Gray has that.
With schools set to open in a matter of days, Education Minister Jeffrey Lloyd said the frequent power outages have not affected the preparations for school opening. However, Lloyd was quick to point out that power outages could affect students as public schools cannot function without power supply.
If our power is going out, obviously it's going to have a negative effect on school. Now, a lot of these schools, the Uriah McField, Stephen Dillon, these are air-conditioned facilities. If there's no air conditioning, the students cannot be inside. So that certainly is going to have an impact.
Teachers Union President Belinda Wilson expressed great concern over the situation, telling the Nassau Guardian that the frequent outages may have a detrimental effect on students. Wilson said it is a major problem as both water and telephone services require electricity. The education minister said if outages are not kept to a minimum, they're going to have a problem.
We're just going to have to go through it. It seems as if the practice is 2 to 3 hours a loss of power on a given day, so that can be managed. If it is twice a day or more than that, that's going to be a problem for us.
Schools are set to open on September 2nd. Lloyd said they are considering alternative arrangements.
When we, in 2017, had the situation of Stephen Dillon, we were able to use the Wesley Methodist Church schoolroom. That worked out fairly well for us. Of course, we have the gyms and some facilities at the stadium. So all of those things are being contemplated, but we hope we never have to come to that.
The education minister also updated the media on the progress of school repairs. He said repairs are on schedule and have not been impacted by power outages.
I am advised, and I go by every single day, that those schools are going to be ready.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jillian Gray.
From the courts, a convicted serial groper who indecently assaulted a policewoman in court just over a week ago was today sentenced to 6 years in prison. Sidney Cooper entered the prisoner's dock shouting, "All hail the king." The sentence was handed down by Magistrate Samuel McKinney. Cooper was convicted of groping an 18-year-old woman in the downtown Nassau area and causing harm to her on June 12, 2019. His sentencing, which was originally slated for August 9th, was postponed after Cooper lunged at a policewoman, grabbed her from behind, and put both hands between her legs as she walked past him in court. McKinney noted that Cooper's previous convictions allowed for his sentence to be doubled. Cooper has been previously convicted of indecent assault more than 20 times since 2000. In other news, several people appeared in the magistrate's court today, including a 25-year-old man charged with stealing thousands of dollars and 3 Americans who lost more than $27,000 after failing to declare their casino winnings. Jasmine Brown was in court and has this report.
Appearing before Magistrate Carolyn Vogue Evans in court number 6 was 25-year-old Andre Spence Jr. The The Sandpiper Drive Grand Bahama resident seen here in the striped shirt was charged with stealing $44,500. Spence pleaded not guilty to 6 counts of stealing and 1 count of conspiracy to commit stealing. It is alleged that Spence, who was represented by Devard Francis, stole $40,000 from a Commonwealth Bank account between July 2nd and July 4th. He was also charged with stealing $4,500 from a Scotia Bank account between June 19th and June 21st. Magistrate Vogue Evans said she was unable to grant bail and Spence was remanded to the Bahamas Department of Correctional Services. He returns to court on October 1st. Also appearing in court number 6 was an American man and 2 American women who failed to declare their casino winnings to U.S. Customs. 25-year-old Garrett Richard Kaiser, 23-year-old Victoria Lynn Morris, and 48-year-old Allison Denise Mobley from Kerrville, Texas, pleaded guilty to the charge of making a false declaration. They declared that they were traveling with less than $10,000 on their customs form in the pre-clearance lounge at Lynden Pindling International Airport on August 18, 2019. However, when the money was counted, it was discovered that they were traveling with $27,136. The trio's lawyer Ian Cargill told the court that his clients had no previous convictions and that they were business people who traveled to the Bahamas 8 times a year to gamble. Vogue Evans seized the money and ordered that they be handed over to the Bahamas Department of Immigration. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
All right, thanks, Jasmine. Still to come, the Prime Minister tours UB's campus. Plus, BTC's visa process said to be going well. Stay tuned.